in terms of the happy talk we've had on this front from the federal government, there is no sign that the Navy hospital ships that the president made such a big deal of, the Comfort and the Mercy, there's no sign that they'll be anywhere on site helping out anywhere in the country for weeks yet. The president said when he announced that those ships would be put into action against the COVID-19 epidemic, he said one of those ships would be operational in New York Harbor by next week. That's nonsense. It will not be there next week.
Oops, wrong again, Rachel. The U.S. Comfort has, in fact, docked in New York Harbor literally just hours after President Trump promised it would be there. We're going to take a look at the latest humiliating fail from the ultra-leftwing activist disguised as journalist Rachel Maddow, and how even the mainstream media is coming out against her and her patterns of dishonesty. I think you're going to love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Awesome to be with you, as always. A super safe and sound lockdown Wednesday to each and every one of you. If this is your first time here at this channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events and some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel. You're going to love interacting with this online community of conservatives from all over the world. Also, for everyone, before you do anything else, make sure to click on the link below and check out the awesome video that we put together just for you, featuring our brand new Turley Talks Insiders Club. We're so thankful to those of you who've already signed up. It's going to be great to be with you. This is something we put together just for you. We've received countless emails over the past several months of how you can get closer access to me and my work analyzing the rise of a new conservative age, and how you can be directly part of a massive group of conservatives from all over the world to network with. And your wish is our command. That's precisely what you're going to get by joining our Insiders Club. By becoming a member, you get more exclusive access to me and my journey together into this new conservative age we're embarking on. Each week, you're going to get a special deep dive video. Gang, we're talking like 45-minute, 50-minute video reserved solely for our Insiders members. You get access to our private Facebook group that features conservatives from all over the world. Plus, you get monthly reading lists to keep you updated on the best and most enriching information that's out there. You get a number of bonus videos, such as video courses that I teach, and you'll even get some really cool accessories like our Turley Talks tumbler to drink your coffee in, or whatever your beverage of choice happens to be. So don't wait. Make sure to click on that link below and watch the video on the Turley Talks Insiders Club to get a fuller sense of what you'll be a part of. I think you're going to absolutely love it, and it'll be a privilege to journey with you into this new conservative age together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Oh my. The ultra-liberal MSNBC host, Rachel Maddow, has humiliated herself once again. Now, this is obviously becoming a bit of a pattern here, which we'll get into in a moment. But the latest fail involves President Trump and his ordering of the naval hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, to New York City to help aid in the fight against the coronavirus epidemic. He launched the USNS Comfort in a formal ceremony from Norfolk, Virginia, and he promised the citizens of New York City that he has their backs, that we're here for you, that we're fighting for you, and, you know, we're with you all the way in this. It was a beautiful speech, very heartwarming, very tender, filled with solidarity and support for the people in New York City who've been inordinately, disproportionately affected by the virus. The ship is complete with 75 professional mariners. It has over 1,000 naval medical personnel on board. The ship itself has thousands of beds on board, 80 ICU intensive care units, 50 ventilators. The Navy ship would also provide assistance for local hospitals by relieving them of having to treat non-coronavirus patients. And Trump this past weekend promised that the ship would be in New York City in just a couple of days. I mean, when all is said and done, you would actually have to really work hard to find anything wrong with this. This is pretty straightforward and frankly pretty cool. People are suffering, and they're about to get one of the best Navy hospital ships to dock in their vicinity to help them out in the midst of this virus outbreak. I mean, what could possibly be wrong with that? But that, my friends, of course, is precisely what the ultra-liberal left-wing activist disguised as a journalist, Rachel Maddow, is paid to do. She's paid to crap on President Trump. And I mean, you really have to hand it to her. She's really earning her paycheck here from a network like MSNBC that exists for one reason only at this point, and that's to mock and ridicule and scorn the President of the United States and those of us who support him. Same with CNN. There's no other reason on the planet for their very existence right now than to mock and ridicule and scorn our president and his supporters. So you have to hand it to her. I mean, Maddow really earned her check. She actually managed to find something to hate Trump on with all of this. So she took to the airways of her show that hardly anybody is watching anymore and started out with this huge, condescending, patronizing sigh, and then proceeded to tell what's left of her viewers that when President Trump said the U.S. Navy's hospital ship would be arriving in New York City in a matter of days, that was nonsense. It'll not be there next week. She said there's no sign that the Navy hospital ships the president has made such a big deal of, the Comfort and the Mercy, there's no sign they'll be anywhere on site helping anywhere in the country for weeks yet. That's Rachel Maddow. That's Rachel Russian collusion Maddow's reaction to this ceremony, sending help to the people of New York City. I wonder how they felt when she said this. Again, hardly anybody's watching her show at this point, but given the few that may be watching, if they were living in New York City, I wonder how they felt about that. And how ironic. President Trump wasn't just sending the U.S. Comfort to the people of New York. He was sending comfort. He was comforting to the people of New York as well. Comfort was Trump's message. Crap was Maddow's. And lo and behold, what happened just the other day? Just a few days after President Trump's moving speech meant to comfort the people of New York. What do you know? The U.S. Comfort docked in New York Harbor, ready to assist the amazing doctors and nurses and healthcare workers in New York in their efforts at combating and healing this virus. Now, obviously, Rachel Maddow has come out of this looking, if it were possible, even more ridiculous, even more pathetic, even more of a shill for anything left-wing and globalist than ever before. I repeat, Rachel Maddow is not a journalist. She does not belong in anything even resembling a semblance of a news network like MSNBC pretends to be. She emphatically is not a journalist. She's a left-wing activist. She's no more of a journalist than is George Soros, or Bernie Sanders for that matter. She's an activist, a far-left cultural Marxist activist who disguises herself as a journalist night after night. And again, we talked about this before in other videos, but even members of the mainstream media, like the Washington Post, you don't get more mainstream media than that. But even the Washington Post has come out and excoriated Maddow for being an activist rather than a journalist. And the repercussions of this are horrifying. The Washington Post's Eric Wemple laid out in exhaustive detail a review of Maddow's reporting on and discussion of the Steele dossier and the Russian collusion fiasco over the course of nearly 3 years. And his assessment of Maddow really could not possibly be more scathing. In his words, and again, this is coming from within the mainstream media gang, in his words, Rachel Maddow was engaged in an ongoing pattern of what he called misleading dishonesty. He referred to her coverage as misleading and dishonest asymmetry. In other words, whenever small bits of news came out, and again, usually through anonymous sources and leaks, but whenever small bits, that's key, small bits of news came out in favor of the dossier or the Russian collusion narrative, Maddow went to town with it. She came across as actually rooting for the dossier and this whole Russian collusion conspiracy. But, and here's the key, whenever big bits of information came out against the authenticity of the dossier and the whole Russian collusion conspiracy, she buried it. She deliberately hid that information from her viewers. This is what the Washington Post writer called a pattern of misleading and dishonest asymmetry. And so you weren't getting reports, you were getting propaganda, all under the guise of a supposedly reputable news network like MSNBC. You were getting outright fallacious propaganda disguised as hard news. And that's why we detailed in our last video, which you could check out here by clicking on the link. I'll link it down below for you as well. But that's why Rachel Maddow programs are actually currently being used by the Chinese government on their state-controlled media as pro-Chinese and anti-American propaganda. You'll definitely want to check that out. We have some video on there from inside China on how Rachel Maddow is actually being used as Marxist propaganda within the People's Republic of China. But this is what's so concerning about the mainstream media and what it's become. They really are now the official propaganda wing of the political left. That's why we refer to them as the mainstream Marxist media. And there's a whole history to that of how the media became left-wing, which will require a much deeper dive into all this. And again, that's why if you're interested in those kinds of deep dives, you'll definitely want to click on that link below and join our Turley Talks Insiders Club, because you'll get weekly videos that cover topics just like that. So there's a whole history to this, but the sad outcome of that history is that the mainstream media is now officially a propaganda tool for cultural Marxists, not just here in the United States, but indeed around the world, like in China. Now, the good news, the wonderful news, is that Rachel Maddow's ratings have tanked. She's fallen from first place in the 9 o'clock time slot during the height of the Russian fiasco all the way down to fifth. She's basically lost a third to a half of her audience that she had at the height of the Russian collusion nonsense. She's currently being sued for defamation by One American Network that she had the gall of accusing of being propagandists, in this case for the Russian government. How ironic. I mean, she's a mess. And her hysterics, like what we've recently seen in her humiliating attempt at dissing President Trump, all but guarantee her continued collapse in the months and years ahead. Now, before you go, speaking of the mainstream media, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the implosion of the mainstream media. It's been announced that hundreds of layoffs are basically ending the mainstream media as we've known it. It's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.